The day her world collapsed didn't come with thunder or warning. It came quietly, disguised as a conversation. Emma had always believed in love, the kind that endures storms, the kind that doesn't fade when life becomes inconvenient. For 8 years, she had built that belief around her husband, Daniel. He was her partner, her safe place, her future. Until he wasn't. It started with small changes. Late nights, missed calls, conversations that felt forced. And then came the diagnosis, a chronic illness that drained her energy, her appearance, and slowly, her spirit. She thought it would bring them closer. Instead, it pushed him away. One evening, as she sat wrapped in a blanket, trying to gather enough strength just to stand, Daniel dropped the words that shattered everything. "I can't do this anymore." No hesitation. No emotion. Just cold detachment. He didn't scream. He didn't argue. He simply chose someone else. A younger woman. Healthier. Easier. Emma watched him leave. Not just the house, but their entire life. The silence that followed was louder than any argument. Days turned into weeks. The house felt emptier than ever. Medical bills piled up. Friends faded away. And loneliness became her only companion. But what Emma didn't know was that she was never truly alone. There was someone else who had been watching her from a distance, not out of pity, not out of obligation, but out of something far more dangerous. Love. A love that had been buried for 10 years. And it was about to change everything. Long before Emma ever fell in love with Daniel, there was someone else. His name was Victor Hale. A name whispered in fear across the city. A man whose empire was built not on kindness, but control, power, precision. Victor wasn't just dangerous, he was calculated. Every move he made had purpose. Every decision carried weight. And yet, for 10 years, there was one thing he could never control. His feelings for Emma. They met once. Briefly. A moment so small, most people would forget it. But Victor didn't. She had smiled at him. Genuinely. Not knowing who he was. Not fearing him like everyone else did. And that moment stayed with him. He watched from afar. Not obsessively, but protectively. Quietly ensuring she was safe. Untouched by the darkness he lived in. When she married Daniel, Victor stepped back. If she was happy, that was enough. But happiness didn't last. The moment Victor learned about her illness, something inside him shifted. And when he found out she had been abandoned, that was the moment everything changed. No more distance. No more silence. Victor stepped into her life, not as a savior, but as a force she couldn't ignore. He arranged her treatment, handled her finances, protected her without asking for anything in return. At first, Emma didn't understand. Why would someone like him help her? What did he want? But Victor never demanded answers. Because for him, loving her was never about possession. It was about presence. And now, after 10 years, he wasn't going anywhere. Healing doesn't happen overnight. For Emma, it wasn't just her body that needed recovery. It was her trust. Victor's presence was overwhelming at first. He was everything Daniel wasn't: strong, decisive, unshakable. But he was also everything she feared: control, power, darkness. Yet he never forced anything. He gave her space, time, respect. And slowly, Emma began to see something unexpected beneath his cold exterior. Gentleness. The way he made sure her medications were taken on time. The way he stayed up during her worst nights, silently sitting beside her. The way he looked at her, not with pity, but admiration. For the first time since everything fell apart, she felt seen. Weeks turned into months. Her health improved. Her strength returned. And with it, something else. A connection. Victor never confessed his feelings. He didn't need to. It was in his actions. Every quiet moment. Every protective gesture. Every glance that lingered just a second too long. And then one night, everything changed. Emma asked him the question he had avoided for years. Why me? Victor paused. For a man who controlled everything, this was the one truth he could never hide. Because you are the only person who ever saw me as human. And in that moment, walls fell. Not loudly, not dramatically, but completely. Victor Hale didn't forgive easily. And he never forgot. While Emma was rebuilding her life, Victor was handling something else quietly, efficiently. Daniel, the man who walked away. Victor didn't act out of jealousy. He acted out of principle. No one abandons what they once promised to protect. Daniel's life began to unravel. Business deals collapsed. Reputation faded. Opportunities disappeared. Not violently, not obviously, but deliberately. Every move calculated. Every consequence earned. Meanwhile, Emma stepped into a new world. A world she never imagined. Luxury, influence, security, but more importantly, respect. Victor didn't treat her as someone fragile. He treated her as someone powerful. And for the first time, Emma believed it. When Victor finally asked her to stay, not as an obligation but as a choice, she didn't hesitate. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about finding something real. Something unbreakable. 10 years. That's how long Victor waited. Not expecting anything in return. Not hoping for a second chance. Just loving silently. And now, standing beside Emma, he finally had something he never thought possible. Her trust. Their relationship wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy, but it was real. Built on truth, loyalty, understanding. Emma wasn't the same woman who had been abandoned. She was stronger, wiser, unbreakable. And Victor? He wasn't just the ruthless man the world feared. He was the man who loved without conditions. The man who waited. The man who stayed. And sometimes, the love that comes after heartbreak is the one that was meant for you all along.